The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. This quotation is attributed to George Bernard Shaw. It's very famous, and perhaps you have heard of this particular quotation before. Now, I'm doing this video because I'm kind of inspired by a personal development area that has come to a lot of attention with what has been happening around now. I'm recording this video in April 2025, and around this time everyone is discussing the tariff policies related to Donald Trump. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the cons and the discussions related to the consequences of these tariffs. That's been done by experts who can articulate it much better than me. I'll put my cards on the table and say I'm not a fan, like most people. But the thing here that is interesting is that it raises the whole question of the reality distortion field. I think it's fair to say, whether you completely disagree with Donald Trump or for some crazy reason you think he's got it right, and maybe by the time you are watching this video we will know a bit more. But anyway, the point is, there's no question that Donald Trump has a reality distortion field. So keep watching this video to understand what the reality distortion field is, the pros and cons, so that you can decide whether you can apply this idea to your own situation. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new to the Spirit and Action channel, we talk about how to improve your mindset and use attitude to get the results that you are looking for. In this world of AI, then, it is becoming more and more essential to know who you are, what you are about, and what your dreams and passions are. This is what we look at Spirit and Action. So let's talk about the idea of the reality distortion field. And of course, George Bernard Shaw's quotation that I started the video with really sums up the idea very clearly. If we look at the famous people in history, I think it's fair to say that they had a reality distortion field. Perhaps the most famous person is Steve Jobs, and he used his concept of reality to create all those products which were completely mind-blowing back in the 1990s and the early 2000s. However, it's not just Steve Jobs. If you think about anyone, Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream, Mahatma Gandhi with his dreams of non-violent protest to overthrow the British Empire. That's pretty a wild idea that most people would give up on. Winston Churchill, again, was the guy who stood up against Hitler when everyone else was looking at appeasement at the beginning of World War II. There's so many people like that. They had an unreasonable expectation, but they believed in it so much that they managed to change the course of history, literally. I found another quotation in a book by Richard Koch. Let me say Koch. The book is called Unreasonable Success and How to Achieve It. Unlocking the 9 Secrets of People Who Changed the World. Here's what he says. After all, what is extraordinary achievement? but bending existing reality to your vision and your will by persuading yourself and your key allies that it is possible. The evidence then seems to suggest that we can use the reality distortion field concept to make real progress. Now, let's talk about the pros and, of course, the cons. We'll start with a number of advantages of RDFs. The first thing is that it inspires new ideas. Once you are given a clear vision and idea of something that needs to be achieved, the idea is that we are going to create solutions, ideas, actions that will actually get this idea into reality. People will work through the self-imposed limits and find ways to actually make things happen that they wouldn't have otherwise. And then another advantage is the whole idea of vision-driven leadership. I'm sure you are aware that leadership depends on the leader having a vision. Most leadership teachers will tell you that the leader needs to have this quite big and inspiring vision that they want to achieve. And the last thing is that it attracts followers. If you are the kind of person that knows what you want and are 110% committed to getting it, people are going to actually be attracted to that kind of clarity and drive. So, famous people have employed a reality distortion field, amazing things have happened, and there are a number of good reasons to look into this. But there are some problems with it. So let's just talk about those problems. The first and the biggest one is that it can make people delusional, or perhaps to put it in more polite terms, they become distracted from reality. At the end of the day, reality is reality. It's all very well pretending to ignore it, but things can get a bit stupid at times. And of course, this is what we are seeing at the moment with Donald Trump's escapades. Some of the real world constraints that you face will be financial, physical, geographical and human constraints. No amount of wishful thinking or visionary ideas can overcome some of these constraints. And let's face it, you can look pretty stupid if you have too much of a delusional vision that doesn't take into account the reality of the environment in which you are acting. Another problem is the suppression of dissent. We see this quite a lot with people who have powerful visions. They won't accept any other alternatives to what their vision is. If there is dissent, then the idea of problem solving and introducing new ideas may not actually happen. So there's kind of a pro and con here that cancel each other out. An RDF could promote new ideas, but then again, it could also suppress new ideas and innovative solutions. Weird, that one. Another problem is that reality distortion fields tend to promote short-term wins at the expense of long-term losses. This is because basically it's very difficult to predict the future. And because things are very difficult to see in the future, we tend to narrow our vision and look at what we can believe we can achieve in a shorter term, let's say 6 months to 1 year, and we tend to focus on that because we're just a bit more certain about our ability to actually put that into manifestation. So these are the pros and cons of the reality distortion field, and as you can see, it really is two sides of the coin here that we have to think about. The bottom line, I think, is that yes, it is really a useful concept that we should really consider carefully. However, if you are going to create one of your RDFs for yourself, then you need to be very careful and kind of serious about it. Make sure that you are aware of reality, that you are adaptable, and most importantly, responsive to any possible changes. In the next video, make sure that you watch that one. I will give you some ideas about how you can create your own reality distortion field. Make sure that you watch that. And also, let me know in the comments, what do you think of these famous people in history? Did they have reality distortion fields? Is it too much of a hot potato that normal people like us should be handling? Is it better to just stay away or not? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. It would be great to hear from you. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, weekend, morning, afternoon, whatever you're doing. I'll see you in the next video.